This episode of the Marketing Meatball Mafia podcast is brought to you by Golden Proportions Marketing.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Marketing Meatball Mafia. I'm Christina Sarge.
And I'm Allison Micheletti.
You may notice that we have a new set that we're very excited about. We had some inspiration from Chip and JoJo from HGTV. Allie and Danny, who is behind the scenes, put this together and we really think that it's lovely. And we're really excited about new and sparkly things, much like our clients are very excited about new patients in their practice. So one of the top things that we're talking about with them on a regular basis is strategies for getting those new patients into the practice. And while marketing strategy can deliver you plenty of new patient opportunities, we often then find ourselves in a conversation when reviewing the tracked calls from something like a new website or AdWords campaign, where we're losing those patients because of a lack of conversion skills from the front office staff. So without further ado.
Yeah, today we're really happy to welcome the new patient whisperer, Genevieve Poppe, in our first ever live podcast. So this is super exciting for us. Genevieve has been in the dental industry for over 20 years. She was a dental assistant. She's owned a practice or several practices. So she's got a lot of knowledge kind of with every facet and every area of dentistry. So it makes her very practical and relatable. Most recently, Genevieve is the founder of Poppe Practice Management, which is a dental practice management and consulting company that helps teams with anything from systems to phone training, phone conversion skills, really anything a practice could need. Jenny's your girl. She's a self-described customer service maniac, which we have to agree, an enthusiastic change agent, and as we've mentioned, a new patient whisperer. So thank you very much for joining us today.
We know you have be here for the first in-person.
Yeah, yeah. Super exciting. We know that you have a crazy schedule. You've got a plane to catch, but really, when don't you have a plane to catch? Live in airports, kind of go all over the country, really. Jenny was actually in town with one of our local dentists. So we figured, hey, come in before you get on that airplane and let's share your message with the people. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
So let's kind of start by learning a little bit about you, your history. How did you get started in the dental industry?
I actually got started in the dental industry when I was still in high school. I was the naughty kid. So my guidance counselor got me a job at Dr. Smith's office so I could leave school early. And that's a true story.
Like, just get out of here. We don't want to
I could leave school early, and I only had to force myself to attend like a half day my whole senior year. And then I got to go work at the dentist's office. And really, I thought at the time I would maybe go on to be a hygienist, but sort of following that job, I fell into dental assisting and really loved it. And my career kind of went on from there. Once you get in, you never get out, I think.
Not the truth.
If it suits you, it suits you. And so I have done everything from dental assisting to practice management to actually owning and managing an affiliate group of 7 practices in Wisconsin. So I have done a little bit of everything. Which makes it funny that given that management background, that one of the primary things that I talk to offices about are phone skills.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how that happens. Yeah. So is that like your favorite part, your favorite position that you've held?
You know, I always joke that someday I'll retire and be a dental assistant again.
Just full circle.
I loved dental assisting. I loved the direct patient care. I loved the depth of relationships that I had. And when I was an assistant, I was an assistant/treatment coordinator. So I did a lot with helping people proceed to treatment. And I really, really enjoyed that. But I'm clearly an extrovert. I love talking to people. Right. And I really do actually like picking up a phone. I like talking to people on the phone, and I certainly love helping people choose my doctor. right? Like enjoy that process of hearing them out and helping them understand why we're their best choice. So now doing that and helping other people learn to do that well is something that's very rewarding.
For sure. For sure.
Awesome.
And that's something that I think we find through all of these phone calls that we listen to. It's not necessarily just about, do you have an opening this day? Yep, let's get you in.
Right.
It's about advocating for that doctor and for that practice.
It absolutely is. I think I always say, when I first started in dentistry, it was a different time. It was like the 90s. Doesn't feel like that long ago to me. But it was easier, to be honest with you. It was easier to get people to go from phone call to appointment. They didn't start conversations with what insurance do you take. It was just kind of a different time and scheduling. And unfortunately, what I see are sort of strategies on the phone that haven't evolved as the complexity of the phone calls have evolved. And, sometimes I'll sort of kid or tease about how bad some dental phone calls are.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know this. But what I can also tell you is that the people doing them aren't bad people.
Oh, no.
Like when you go to meet them, they're very nice people. They're very kind people. Mm-hmm. They just don't have strategy. They just don't know how to do it different. And so the calls come across very flat. They're missing that sense of advocacy for the practice.
Right.
Because I don't think it honestly even occurs to them that's the point of the call.
Right. It's like they're natural helpers, so they want to answer the questions that they're being asked.
Right.
That's all. Bye-bye.
We don't take your insurance. Click. And it's over.
Right.
And that is it. I mean, we're wired to answer a question when it's asked. And that's exactly what we're doing. So a lot of what I teach is really shifting up your initial reaction to think about the process and the ideal outcome of it a little bit more.
Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of these people in that position, they want to learn, they want it to be helpful, they want to help get new patients in the practice. And I know calls I've listened to that I've shared with you to say, like, can you please help this client and their staff, is that the staff members being so helpful that they then talk them out of coming to your office and refer them someplace else and give them the phone number and this is what you need to ask for.
And that's not a one-off. That happens all the time. I'm doctors. That is happening on your phone.
Yes.
And it's from the most well-intentioned place.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
They are sweet people. They are helpful. And I would love to duplicate their personalities over and over again.
Yeah.
But it's like, the best way we could help that patient is by getting them in the door first to determine what their needs actually are, and let your provider determine if they can't be treated in the office and if they'd like to refer them to one of their trusted colleagues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I can't say what my favorite position per se is.
Fair enough.
But I do love talking on the phone. I mean, I genuinely enjoy it. And, to that end, I would strongly suggest that you employ people who enjoy talking on the phone.
You get energized from talking on the phone. It's like, oh, the phone is ringing. I don't want to pick it up.
There are a lot of people who view answering the phone as an interruption to the things they think they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Right. This is the stuff that I have to do in between posting these checks. And I was going to say, it's like, that stack of paper will still be there.
Yeah, it will still be there. That phone's ringing now.
It'll still be there tomorrow.
Only going to be there for a hot second.
Yeah, that's what you do in between the stuff you're supposed to be doing, which is taking care of people.
Right.
But very often we hire front desk positions for competency with, like, they know insurance and they know Dentrix. Well, if you were hiring a salesperson for your sales department, those would not be the qualifications you would look for as the person representing your company. So I think just a lot of times the doctors hiring for that position aren't thinking of the right thing, and the team members in them don't view the priority as the phone.
Yeah. You brought up a good point. If it was any type of business and they were hiring a salesperson, you wouldn't hire them based on how well can you use Excel or, this sales software.
Right.
They would hire them based on their ability to ask the right questions and get to the root of the problem. So
develop a natural rapport with people.
Exactly.
Those would be the things you would be looking for. But truly, dental teams don't. Well, one, they're fundamentally uncomfortable thinking about themselves as selling anything. Yeah. We don't even like the word sell. But I do think you have to sell your practice to help people pick it. And I think you have to be comfortable overcoming objections. And in any other business, if you're spending money to market your service, the person answering the phone on the other end of those marketing calls is a sales rep. That's what they are.
Absolutely.
So, you can call it whatever you want. I know I've seen ridiculous titles given to it. I don't care what you call it, but understanding that the goal is to convert that caller to an appointment.
Absolutely.
Not educate them about what their insurance won't cover.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yes, that is the point of that call.
100%. It's like all the marketing in the world is great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, if that's working and that's going gangbusters, it's awesome.
Right.
But what good is it if hardly any of those leads are getting in your chair?
Well,
I think that's
we've
really
seen this. You guys have great tools to measure effectiveness of call conversion, which I love. I also think, marketing tip, don't spend money in marketing if you're not tracking the results.
100%.
It's pointless. But we sometimes talk about offices where we're seeing 50 calls generating from one Google ad, and they scheduled 7 people. That's sort of a failing grade in any market.
Right.
And, you guys, I just talked about this the other day, but then the clients are saying to us, well, those are Google patients.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. It just did a Facebook Live about this.
Right.
And
It's
you should
the
check it
Google
out.
patients, and it's the people calling that are the problem, not our team's ability to help those people choose us. So we want to find any answer out there other than it's us.
Right.
Right. So, you can't really read a dental blog or be a member of a dental group without seeing daily posts about price shoppers and insurance driven patients and how horrible they are, and, how they're the problem. And the thing is, people calling to ask those questions are just normal people. They're not good or bad patients. They are people who have a question. And what they're really asking is can I come there? And can I afford to come there?
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, I think you taught us at one point in time, you trained us that sometimes that first question is not the real question. It's just an easy question to ask. There's no barrier. It's
almost a permission question for a lot of people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get that question most of the time as the first question. Right. It's easy.
Right.
So,
and if we don't devise any tactic other than just saying yes or no, or, I watch people put a lot of effort into the perfect response to the insurance question.
Yes.
What is the perfect magic set of words?
What do I say?
And, I teach people, and I'll happily tell you exactly what I would say, but I teach people verbiage, but what I really try to teach people on the phone is to think about it different. Because I think a different intention and a different mindset serves you a lot more than perfect words.
Yep.
But when people call me and say, do you take my insurance? Do you take Blue Cross Blue Shield? I just say, well, let's check on that for you. What's your name? It's not magic.
It's not magic.
Right. But what I do is I teach people to be less reactive to it. Right. Sometimes there's more to the story. I get their name. I use their name in the conversation. I grab a number in case I get disconnected. I might ask, how did you find us? Or who can I thank for sending you our way? Right. Because that's a good lead in. And then I very quickly get to some open-ended questions that gets them talking.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I just say, tell me what we need to get you in here for. Mm-hmm. And it's very funny. A lot of people who will start with, do you take Blue Cross Blue Shield, will then say, I haven't been to the dentist in 15 years and I need a lot of work. Mm-hmm. The way I'll talk about the role of insurance to a person who's been out of care for 10 years versus a mom who wants to schedule cleanings for her 3 children is a different answer.
Yes.
Right? So that's why I think trying to have the perfect answer is silly.
Or a book of, if this, then this.
They're different people with different situations. Their insurance is going to play a very different role in the course of their needs. Mm-hmm. And just in basic sales process would tell you that the more a person talks to you, the more likely they are to proceed with you. Mm-hmm. Right. So if you don't ever open it up for them to talk, how will you ever have any license to assure them that you're the right place? Right. Giving the perfect answer, the perfect immediate out of the gate answer isn't the answer. Right?
Certainly.
It's learning to be less reactive to that first question, learning to build less assumption about what that person really might want based on their first question, and letting them talk.
That's how you truly help them. Like, these people have a need.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of the person on the phone's job is to identify what that need is. And the need isn't, do you accept my insurance? The need is, I haven't been to a dentist in 12 years. I'm having pain. I need help. I don't know what to do. And you won't get to that if you don't ask those questions.
Never.
And kind of framing it a different way of not looking at it as sales, looking at it as assistance and help. And you're really getting to the root of the problem.
Absolutely. And not everybody has a problem, but they have a reason that they chose you.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Like, so they have a reason that of all of the dentists that appear on Google, they picked up the phone and called you. And you have no idea what that is. You know, like you have no way to know what that motivation is if you're trying to give the perfect all-encompassing answer immediately. And sometimes when I teach people this, they're like, so they expect us to know this. We're going to look stupid. And, you know, the reaction to changing it is honestly sometimes really emotional.
Right.
Because it's a weird thing to suddenly have something as basic as answering the phone, a thing you think you're good at, scrutinized all of a sudden is very uncomfortable for some people. And, you know, what I encourage them to know is that I'm not teaching you to like evade their question or be sneaky about answering their question. And you certainly don't look stupid by being interested in a person. That isn't the reaction people have. But if you can learn a little bit more about a person, you will better answer their question.
Absolutely.
You will be able to give them a better answer.
I love that mindset. I'm sure you get hit with some pushback or some, resistance to change.
Yeah.
But helping them understand that, well, yes, this is kind of a sales role. And I'll be the first to admit that the word sales is uncomfortable for me. I don't like the words.
A lot of people don't. Yeah.
So I get it. It makes me,
Yeah.
But
what does it make you do?
Thanks for making me do that twice on camera.
I just wanted to get it.
Just only one per customer.
Yeah, sorry, one. Can't be used twice. Can't be combined. But getting people to look at it, and this is what helped me personally from that side of helping and truly helping, and that is what we're all here for.
Right. Well, hopefully you're working for a dentist that you firmly believe people should come see. Right. That's got to be part of it.
You gotta believe it.
Dentists, hopefully you're a guy or a gal that people feel that way about, right? Like you have to have a team that loves you and truly believes that you're the best choice for people. You know, I try to tell my teams, you have to believe that you're the best choice, regardless of whether or not we take their insurance, right? Insurance is $1,000 coupon. It's like, it's perfect. It's very minimal in the role of dental health for most people. It's not that significant, right? And it can be overcome. I assure you, there are still totally fee-for-service, out-of-network practices out there. I work with many of them. And all day, every day, we overcome that question in those settings. And I'm not saying that's the answer for everybody, but I'm saying it isn't the barrier that we believe it to be. You know, I have people all the time say, well, these people only do what their insurance covers. These people, and first of all, if you're saying these people...
Oh, that's my least favorite.
It makes my stomach hurt. It makes me like cringe, right? It's just like saying our Google patients. Like we shouldn't make any general sweeping decisions about any group of people. And if our patients are only doing what their insurance covers, that tells me a lot about our skills as a team in how we're presenting the role of insurance.
Absolutely. It's all related. It's all related.
And what I've often said to clients before we transition them to you or to another consultant that helps with conversion is we're only seeing the calls tracked coming in through your marketing efforts. So this is just a sample. So there's probably many more of these phone calls happening. But what I can confidently say about the calls coming from your marketing efforts is these patients are coming to you because they've engaged with something about you. So they've already been to your website and love what they've seen, or your Facebook and love what they've seen. So there's already something about you that they've engaged with, and that's the reason why they're calling.
Right.
So we don't need to try to sell them hard on coming into the practice. At this point, it's our job to be their guide to help them find a solution, whether that's I just moved to the area, I need to establish care for myself, my husband, my 2 kids, or I haven't been to the dentist in years, but there's something about you that they gravitated towards that they are going to trust you now with that care.
Right. And you can't assume that you know what that is.
Right.
Right. And there's value in whatever reason that is. So whether it's because you're open Saturdays or because you're the best, both of those are valuable.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like either way, they resonated with something about you. And I tell people this all the time, like I'm calling it a sale, right? But the thing is, they already picked you. They didn't call you just to find out if you take Blue Cross and then hang up. But they're not saying, "Oh, you do good." Click. You know what I mean?
That's what I needed.
I've listened to thousands and thousands of phone calls. I've never heard somebody just calling just to check. You know, they called because they want to schedule. That's
the motivation.
They didn't call just to ask that one question. You know,
Just wondering.
Just wondering. Okay, thanks. Just
It's like
wondering.
calling pizza. Like, do you want pepperoni pizza? Yes. Okay, thanks. Like, I wasn't hungry or anything.
It's not a thing. But when I asked dental teams, I'm telling you, they truly don't understand. So, and sometimes, you know, this is just a little aside. Sometimes teams are very disconnected from what's happening on a marketing standpoint, just a separate thing. But I ask teams all the time when I start working with them, how do you guys feel like you do with new patient calls? Every time, what they'll say to me is, good. Pretty much everybody schedules. And I'm like, okay. And what they mean is pretty much everybody who says, I want to schedule an appointment schedules. And they don't even view those questions as a lead. They don't view it as an opportunity. They will actually say, well, he just wanted to know if we took Blue Cross. And I'm like, no, that isn't what you know, like, he just wanted to know how much our crown is. We don't quote fees. Click. What?
That's a crown patient.
That means he needs
like,
a crown.
Right. That's a good patient. He has a need. You can help him.
He's ready to do it. You know, so I just think it's funny. There's just like a lot of money spent sometimes on marketing, but not a lot of talking from doctor or marketing manager to the front lines about what the objective of this campaign is, what we're trying to attract.
Right.
You know, I hear roadblocks happening all the times on the phones for people. They don't have any idea that like a policy they created 9 years ago is now a holdup for a new patient campaign that they're running. You know,
got to adapt.
And I'll kind of like, I'll hear like a theme of them and then be like, so you really won't see somebody, you know, for, you know, I just will point out little things. They're like, what? You know, the doctors have no idea that it's happening.
Right.
And for instance, one office that I worked in had an oral surgeon in the office. And I knew for a fact his schedule wasn't as consistently as busy as they had hoped. Meanwhile, I'm hearing all day, every day phone calls for toothaches that they want the tooth extracted, having to wait 2 weeks to see a general doctor first. But like nobody from these departments had ever talked, right? So I'm like, hold up. Couldn't we offer those patients a same day appointment with the oral surgeon if their objective is to have this tooth removed? And he was like, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay. So your front office
start
thinks
doing
that. The policy is that they have to put them with a general doctor who doesn't have the time, you know. So like, they're just not, a lot of times there's just a real lack of awareness of what holdups might be. Teams are not looking for holdups. You know, they don't even see them as that.
Right.
And the doctors aren't asking about it. And it just kind of keeps going on and on. So it's a thing that is uncovered all the time in recording.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what would be a sign, if there is one, that you could identify that a team might need some training or additional phone skills?
Right. Well, I think a good sign is that, you know, if you're hearing your team say things like Google patients or these patients, to me, that's usually a symptom of feeling frustrated with a certain type of call, like not having a better option. Like they don't know what to do with it. So they might be complaining about a type of patient, but it's because they're not converting it. Obviously, if you have call recording, which I hope you do, and you see that there's not good call conversion, you have to really consider that it might not be all of the calls. Right. Which I very commonly see. That's the first thing is like, we've got to change this ad. It's going to the wrong zip code. It's going to the wrong neighborhood. These aren't the right people. And they're convinced it's the ad. And a lot of times, I'm not saying there's never a need for a tweak,
Oh, sure.
Right.
For
Sure,
sure.
it's marketing.
That
We
happens.
tweak
We
all
have
the
to
time.
tweak. And that's why we listen on our side, right? But a lot of times we need to tweak too, right?
Yes.
And also, if you're just in passing, like turn your ears on, do a little eavesdropping. If you're hearing answers like, no, we don't, click. No call should sound like that,
Right.
Right.
Even hearing just one side of it. Or if you're hearing lengthy insurance explanations on the phone.
Yeah.
I sometimes watch people explain with such stunning accuracy the details of everything an insurance plan won't do for this caller that they're not wrong, but it's certainly not very inspiring
Or helpful.
Right.
or helpful. They're in the weeds, and so they're focusing on accuracy as
Mhm.
how they're feeling as a way to be helpful, but it's unfortunately they're not understanding that the most helpful thing they can do is to get this person in
Mhm.
and
Right.
help them see us.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean to like that I lie or deceive
No,
or don't give an
no,
honest
not at
answer,
all.
but not going in the weeds. If you're
Right.
hearing really in-depth insurance conversations on the phone, I usually find that's again a lack of strategy where they're educating instead of connecting.
Right.
Not to mention, like, people outside of the dental industry don't understand what any of that means.
No.
We're at a network, but we'll file for you, and you pay this up front,
So
and we'll
you take
reimburse
it?
you. And you're like, so
Yeah, so do
Right.
Pete, can I come
But
here?
only
Like that.
pays- it only pays on a fee schedule, not usual and customary. And
Right,
I sometimes
right.
see it go, I'm talking deep.
Well, I know we hear it when we see
Yeah.
that, oh, this was a really long call. This must be great. Let's listen to it. And we often hear something like that. I mean, a lot of times we hear this patient that's scheduling themselves and their whole family, and that's wonderful. But we also do hear the very descriptive explanation of insurance and
Right. And I think sometimes when they feel like they're losing control of the call or they don't have it, it's just like the reaction to keep talking.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Well, we
Yeah.
work with a coach, and he told us that silence is money, basically. Silence can be so valuable
Right.
because you can get more out of that patient. It's natural to want to fill that void.
Yes.
So if there's silence, it's okay.
It is okay. And I think what's really missing, it's, one of the key things I teach is the ability to ask open-ended questions early in a call. And
Right.
that seems super easy when I just say that. Just ask open-ended questions early in a call. But I'm telling you, people really struggle to do that. Like they don't know how to open a dialogue with people in the context of a phone call.
right.
And they, sometimes have to go through like exercises of like, what are 10 questions you could ask a person? And, I actually love some of the vulnerability that people will come to have with me when they're admitting they're struggling with this
Yes.
part. But, I worked with a physical therapy office, right?
Right.
And there was they're like the nicest team, and they are like one of the best implemented teams I've ever worked with. But, I was teaching them to talk about the patient's pain or injury that was leading them to therapy. And so a lot of it comes from sports, but one very sweet girl was like, so what if I say, so tell me about your injury? And they say, it happened when I played football. And she's like, then what would I say? Because, and she's younger too. So like a lot of people her age haven't had a lot of, honestly, in
Right.
like, on the phone
Face-to-face.
or face-to-face, like long multi-question conversations. Right. So I was like, I would say, well, what position did you play?
Right, or where did you play? Or something along those lines.
And when she was like, oh, like people actually, I want to just say like really good people who are really valuable to your business with a little bit of coaching and like some comfort with the person that can help them think through situations can really have dramatic changes. Like they can have a very different results when they open up to it and there's an environment that allows for that kind of, feedback. But it's really incredible.
Well, we know too, a lot of times the person answering the phone, that's a more entry-level position to the practice. So it also comes with the, lack of experience.
Yes.
It sounds like a best practice would be is when you're bringing on somebody new for the staff to have them go through some type of call conversion training right from the beginning.
I would, but honestly, this is maybe soapboxy of me. To me, your primary phone answerer should be one of the most tenured highest paid, experienced positions in the practice in my mind. I think it is crazy to take an entry-level person who doesn't know about dentistry and certainly doesn't know about your practice and have them be the first line of representation.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of, practices look at that as the lowest rung. And like, oh, we just need to hire somebody to answer these phones. Like,
was that just answering it? It's
Right.
the other stuff too.
Right. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
I would love to see offices promote people to that position, and it should come with a bump and an elevated status in some sorts. And I watch people who are like, oh no, that would be the last. It's viewed as the lowest value thing, and it's certainly not. I mean, it's quite literally the lifeline of your practice.
Well, yeah, if you don't have somebody there to get bodies in the door,
right,
everybody else is useless.
Right.
I love that perspective of,
it's really backwards. I also watch it like sometimes we will talk like when we're reviewing client results at the number of missed calls they have, right? And so when I see, I'll tell you tip too, you cannot convert a call that you don't answer, right? If you don't pick it up, it's gone. They're never calling you back. It's like 7%.
Especially if it's at noon on a Tuesday and this is the only time I have to call you.
Right, just calling them. You guys look good, but I'm calling the next one.
Yep.
So, sometimes when I'm talking about, like, I really think we should consider bringing on an additional person to help with this call volume. People say to me, well, what? They're just going to sit around all the time. I'm not going to hire somebody to just sit around. And I'm like, well, what if they answered 30 more phone calls a day? Is that sitting around?
Right.
And then what if they did sit around for 10 minutes?
That's okay.
You know what? Like,
if they scheduled, like, you missed 30 phone calls and that new person answers most of those.
If you're not hired to answer the call volume you're producing, I guess I would say one of two things. Just stop spending money on marketing then. Because if you don't feel like you're going to, should take advantage of those leads or you don't need them, why are you paying to produce them? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
Or seize the opportunity and elevate a person who's already great and already knows your practice to handle more. I would rather you hire somebody entry level to call insurance companies.
Yes, sure.
No service skills required. Anybody can be trained to do that.
Right.
Like, you just hire there. That's where you hire somebody who's good with Excel or good with accuracy. Right. And take your best people and make them more patient facing. We just look at outsourcing the wrong things. And it's just, it's my personal opinion, but I just think we get it wrong a lot in our industry.
I would completely agree. And it's kind of, it's frustrating, but also rewarding when you see it change. Because you help everybody then. You help the practice hit their goals. You help the patients who need help get the care they need. And it's very rewarding once you see it flip. It's crazy.
And it's sometimes a long flip. There's
so
sort of front end loaded in terms of work. And then there's a day, it just that's
got
better.
it.
Yes.
There it is.
Yeah, got it. Got it.
Exactly.
So I'm sure you have countless tips available, just countless, in your 20 years of doing this or similar things. What would be kind of the top 3 that you would want doctors or practices to?
Just general tips or phone tips?
Let's go with phone tips.
Okay. The general tips could be all over the place. My first phone tip, in case you haven't heard me say it, is to record your calls.
Yes.
Like, if you're not recording your phone calls, I actually won't do training with people who aren't recording, because if I don't have game tape to review, I'm talking theory.
Right.
And it's easy in theory. It's hard to actually do. So if you don't have a sense of the conversations that are happening when you're not present, I think that's just sort of almost irresponsible.
Right.
And it's certainly, if you're actively spending on marketing, it's just, frankly, just kind of crazy.
Yes.
To not see, one, where the calls are coming from, but two, what calls are working, what's hard for my team, what's easy for my team, how can we sort this out? To not be working on that is just really, really limits the results you can have
Absolutely.
with any marketing campaign. The second I have is to just really help your team understand the ideal outcome of a phone call, which isn't necessarily to educate people about your insurance participation, but to get them in, right? And to do that, you have to develop the ability to be less reactive to the patient's first question and develop the ability to be genuinely curious and let the person talk. If you can't learn to let the other person talk and actually set them up to talk,
Yes.
you can't really change your success with those calls, in my opinion.
But and kind of on the same note and listen.
Yeah.
Please.
Right.
You know, there's so many calls where I hear, and what's your name? Even though that was the very first thing the caller said. Hi, my name is Allison. I'm I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
And then a minute later, can I have your name, please? So, listen, take notes. I believe you have a new patient intake form.
Yes.
Which can be so helpful.
Yeah.
So sorry to interrupt you, but that's
I completely
important.
agree. I actually tell people when I'm coaching them that it's very important that you understand when I'm teaching you to ask open-ended questions, that if you're not listening, it's worse than never asking the open-ended question. So like asking a person to talk about themselves and then demonstrating that you weren't listening is like maybe the worst feeling in a phone call ever. I mean, we all hate the feeling of not being listened to, right? So it's one thing to just never have the chance. It's another thing to be given the chance and then feel like that person didn't listen to anything. Yes, that's like the kiss of death for a phone call. I guess, my third tip is to, it's why I still have a paper intake sheet. You can email me for it. I like to write while I'm listening, not type. If you are trying to enter the Dentrix form, get on the computer because you're so efficient, you are not listening.
You're not. No.
You can't listen to a person while typing in the spelling of their last name. And it also puts you in a very transactional, information gathering conversation. You can hear them in last name and birth date. And I can tell what
You're just going
tell what software they have by the order that they're asking the questions, And it's not a rapport inspiring conversation to start with those things. So, I really recommend answering the phone with a pen in your hand. I don't answer the phone without a pen in my hand because some people say their name right away and I want to be able to write it.
Absolutely.
And not ask her for it again. I also just don't think you are really present when you're looking at the computer. So even if you're not typing, I hear some people kind of clicking through, like they're just distracted. They're looking at the day. Their head is up. I just think there's something to be said about getting your head down and really listening.
And like this is what I'm focused on. I don't have the screen up where I have Dentrix in my email and I'm seeing the inbox become fuller and fuller and I'm
there's
distracted.
A message. If you're looking at your computer screen while you're talking to a person, chances are you're only half present. And that's not what our new patients deserve. I actually recommend printing the new patient intake form like on a brightly colored sheet of paper. I know other people recommend this, but to me, that is the signal to the rest of the team that this person is in the middle of the very important task of welcoming a new patient, right? And don't interrupt them unless there's like a fire, an ambulance needs to be called, leave them alone. Don't walk up a patient and say, Allison, they need a crown on number 31, and then leave the patient there to stare at you. It's like, so awkward. I watch it happen all the time. And you can hear it happen when you're listening to calls too, where you hear a team member come up and talk to them while they're on the phone. It's crazy town.
And then they'll ask to put you on hold and you lose that momentum that you've
it doesn't come across very polished or professional.
Or caring, quite honestly.
It certainly doesn't let them know that they're the most important thing that you're doing right now. Right. So I think those would be my 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Don't look at your computer, listen to your phone calls, and learn to ask open-ended questions.
I think that's perfect. Pretty all-encompassing. It's the meat of it.
Yeah. That's the main guts.
Right. The guts.
So what would you want doctors to go back after listening to this today and something that they can go do right away?
I think right away you can implement an intake form, right? And sometimes just shifting up the order of that intake form is a lot of them that I see are information forms. they're your name, they're your birth date. Like, what if the first thing was your first name? That's it.
Right.
And then tell me what we need to get you in here for. Right. The first thing we found out is about them. And we practice implementing open-ended questions and information was gathered last. Like, I don't think that's hard to implement. I'm not saying it's an easy switch for people to make, but having to write instead of being on their computer is something you can agree to and do.
Yes.
And you can expect pushback on it. There'll be people who hear me say this that think I'm crazy because it's not efficient. But I don't think relationship building is meant to be efficient.
Right.
To me.
There's some things that take time. This is one of them.
They think they require presence, and I don't think you can have presence while you're typing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Call me old school.
Right. Well, I think hey, it works. It's been proven time and time and again. It works.
Yeah. We've been fortunate enough to work together on clients where we were able to make a nice turnaround and show a difference. And it isn't that I'm teaching a magic script, or perfect answers. It's teaching to give yourself the space to connect with people and to learn some comfort in asking questions.
Right.
And for some people, that's harder than it seems.
Right.
Well, it takes time to learn it. Yeah, practice for sure. For sure.
And some vulnerability. It feels weird. We're giving up control.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable for them.
Yeah. That's the only way we're going to get better and grow and help our practices grow and help yourself grow. And
yeah. If you're big or small, you grow your practice one patient at a time, like one phone call at a time.
Yep.
If you're lucky, it's a family.
Yes.
You got like the 4-in-1.
Yeah.
But, each one matters. And frankly, each one costs you a decent amount of money to produce.
Right.
So to not really seize it is such a blind spot in so many practices. It's a thing that's just like not really on their radar, or they're kind of, I have a lot of doctors will say to me when they first talk to me, yeah, I've heard Joni saying that on the phone. I don't really like it. They're hearing it. They, in their guts, kind of know it.
Yeah.
Right.
But they don't really want to tackle it.
Right.
And
shake it. Like, we're all kind of a little comfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's also sometimes those same people that will call you guys and say, we need more new patients.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
And, sometimes that is the thing you have to do to get the more new patients is fix the path in and make it easier for people to get in.
Right. And I call that the fruit on the ground. I said, it sounds like we don't even have low-hanging fruit. We have fruit on the ground. We just have to pick it up.
Give you a basket.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because I think, everyone understands that concept of the easy things to get. I'm like, listen, this is beyond easy. We just have to tackle this one thing first, and I think you'll see a significant difference.
Yes.
And we might even be giving the feedback. You don't need to do some wild, aggressive marketing campaign.
No.
We just need to take advantage of these opportunities already coming to us.
Yeah, a lot of the times we see high volume calls coming in right off the bat, and you're like, okay, our plan now shifted. You don't need to spend these marketing dollars. You have the volume coming in on the phones. You just gotta pick them off the ground.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this has been really incredibly valuable. That this is, at least I hope that this is something that is really important for us, because our strategies don't work unless the people are converting them on the other side. And, practices aren't growing unless the team is converting them on the phone. Like, this is such an important thing. But like you said, dentists don't really think about it all that often.
Right.
But if it's not for the front office, it's not for the person answering the phone.
Right.
You could have nobody in the door.
Correct.
Nobody in your chair. So this position is important. It's really important. It's super important. I don't know how many other adjectives we can throw at this, but
it's
really
critical to your patient, to your practice growth. It is absolutely essential. And quite frankly, in many offices, it's the same person that's checking people out. It's the same person presenting treatment. And I can tell you, I can sometimes listen to phone calls and say, I can promise you from listening to 10 phone calls that you have a case acceptance issue. It's the same skills that lead to, people proceeding with treatment and choosing to proceed with treatment regardless of what insurance pays. So it's a critical mindset to build in your team, and it's critical. I can't put it any more seriously than that. I mean, it will really make or break a practice, having the right person in that seat with the right skills.
Absolutely. So we already mentioned that you have a form that's downloadable on your website.
It's not downloadable, but I'll email it to you if you message me. I'll send it to you.
Sure.
Maybe work to get it downloadable.
I'm sure we can figure that out.
I probably know some people who can help me out with that.
We can figure that out. Web team, can you take care of that?
Make a note.
Right. So what email can people reach you at?
You can reach me at Genevieve at poppypracticemanagement.com.
It is Poppe, Poppe,
yes,
management.com.
You can also Facebook message me. I'm like the only Genevieve Poppe
that exists anywhere.
Yes.
You're born with great branding.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
It just happens.
Luckily.
Oh, then you got names like Micheletti. Like, what are you going to do with that? Nobody can even pronounce it.
I'm
but
sorry.
It's okay.
It's just like
It's my
why you
life.
should change your name when you get married. Here in a couple
Maybe.
weeks.
Maybe. We'll think about it.
Undecided.
That's a heck of a change.
So, and you have some upcoming events as well?
Yeah, I'm speaking at the CareStream Summit in Nashville on November 9th. So if you happen to be there, come see me Saturday afternoon, and I'll cover this a little bit more in depth in that session.
She is a fantastic speaker, really engaging and funny and super relatable. So I would highly recommend if you are there, check it out, pull her aside, talk to her, ask her questions, pick her brain.
Yes.
She is one of our favorite go-tos when it comes to kind of helping complete that circle, that new patient circle. So thank you very much for being with us here today. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
It was my pleasure.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.